What is happening, everyone? Welcome to Dr. Prepper. I wanted to touch on a few things that I have been thinking about over the last couple of days and some things that I've come to realize over the last couple of days. I want to try to keep my thoughts in as best order as I can. The first thing I would like to touch on is we as a country and people all over the world, because of social media, the ability to get information, consume information on a day-to-day, hour-by-hour aspect, being able to instantly get news and information, I think has made us have a short-term memory. And this is going to play into what we're going to be talking about. But the first thing I'd like to touch on is there are, I believe, it's proven, there are sleeper cells in our country already. Do I think that if we were to be in war or go into war, would our country get invaded, so to speak? With thousands or tens of thousands of troops storming our borders. I think that is unlikely, possible, but unlikely, and the only way to do it would be to have just an unlimited amount of force coming at us, wave after wave after wave, to the point where they finally touch down between the people, the normal citizens of our country, and our military. Even if our military was stretched thin, we still have a lot of capabilities here. And with everyone, tens of millions of people being gun owners, I think that it would be very troublesome for another country to invade us that way. But like I said, still possible. But what is already here and is happening is there are terrorists and people who want to cause harm to Americans and our country. They're already here. They are in a hibernation mode, or they're just in waiting for orders. And I think some people know that and believe that they are here. Some people may have even experienced it. But for the people who are questionable or wondersome, wondering how, from what I've gathered, it is very, it's proven at this point, it's very easy to get into the United States through Mexico. And if you're wondering how, it's no issue for a terrorist or someone who wants to do us harm to get into South America, come up through South America into Mexico, and cross the border. People that have a strategic plan, in order, terrorist organizations, Hamas, whoever, with them having a strategic plan in place, some get caught, at the border. Some do. But I think a majority of them get through. And being a good soldier, being a good terrorist, I think they wait. They're in waiting. Waiting for what? I don't know. Waiting for orders, waiting for a certain event. And basically my point is I think they're already here, and I don't know that they are everywhere in every state, but I think they would be in the bigger cities where it's easier to blend in for them. They might be in some smaller towns, where there's not a lot of people. I think it really depends, but I think what they would do is target either A, where they can do the most damage to an American, so bigger cities, New York City, Chicago, a few cities in Texas, Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., some of these cities that have a lot of people. I think they would target those areas. And then I think that they would target areas where they can do damage to our infrastructure, our grid, our water, supplies, supply lines. I think that's where they would do a lot of damage. Military bases. I bet they're close to some military bases. So my point is to keep your head on a swivel at all times. Pay attention to where you're going. With the way we are headed right now, with the way the world is headed, they could be in your town and you might not know it. They could be in the next town over and you don't know it. The point being, keep your head on a swivel. Stay as aware as you possibly can. Even if you are in your home, stay alert and stay aware. And that's how you will stay alive or avoid a catastrophe. People that get attacked, even, just a day-to-day criminal who mugs somebody or is intending on doing harm to somebody. It's very easy to attack people these days because their head is buried in their phone or they're buried in La La Land. And the way I've overcome that is if I'm listening to my phone, I don't have it in my hand, in my face if I'm out and about. I'm either wearing earbuds or I just have it in my pocket and I'm listening. That way I'm able to look around and be aware of my surroundings. So that's first and foremost. Stay aware of what's going on around you at all times, especially right now. Always, but especially right now. The second thing is, if we are heading into a war, or if we are in a war that our government isn't telling us about, our news media isn't telling us about, I think that the best course of action, and this all kind of ties in together. You might be like, let's go get ammo and guns and that sort of thing, which is fine. If you got the money to do that, I think that's fine. But make sure you have food and make sure you have water, as much water as you can fit in your house. People don't realize how much water we use on a day-to-day basis, just one person alone. What you drink, what you mix to drink, what you clean with, what you clean yourself with, using the bathroom. It's endless. Cooking, we use a lot of water on a day-to-day basis. If they were to attack our infrastructure or we would not be able to use our water, or we wouldn't be able to get water, you would soon realize how much water you really need. Anyone who's done any type of physical activity, anyone who's been in combat will tell you need water. Just as much as you need your weapon and ammo, you need water. So water is very vital. And anyone who watches content on preparedness and survival knows these things, but are you doing them? Do you have the capability to filter water? I don't care how, but can you filter the water? Do you know how to filter the water? Have some water filtration systems, even if it's Life Straws and Sawyers. You don't need a $500 Berkey. But know where to get water and know how to filter it. Have some potable water tablets. I would have several bottles of them. They're not expensive, and stock them up. Those potable water tablets, although the water might not taste the best, it might not be the cleanest looking water, those tablets make the most disgusting water able to be drank and digested and keep you from being sick. Don't take it from me. Look it up. You can drink some of the most disgusting water. Put some of them tabs in, 2 or 4, depending on how nasty it is, and drink that water. Get some hydration and not get sick from it. So, and that would be like you're at the end of all your options. But you want to have some of them tablets because they are a miracle in a bottle if you have no other drinking water. But let's hope it never comes to that. So have your food, continue to get food, continue to stock water, continue to have different methods of filtration and able to have potable drinking water. Next up is going to be, if you can, find a way to get your hands on any sort of generator. I don't care, gas and propane. If you can afford solar, get a solar one. Get some sort of generator. That way you can produce some sort of your own power without relying on the grid. If the grid goes down and you have no way to harness power or produce power, what are you going to do? Now, if you have no option, then it is kind of just what it is. I lived that way for a long time. Luckily, I never needed it. I finally have one, and it's a huge weight relieved off my shoulders. It's something in my toolbox, so to speak, that would save me a lot of heartache if something were to happen. As long as I can somehow get gas or propane, which it ain't going to be, anytime soon that we run out of either of those. It might get expensive, but I can at least get it, and I will get it if I need to. So try to find a way to have a generator. And of course, mixed in between food and power is going to be security. Right now, you can still get some good pistols, 9mm pistols, for a couple $100. Right now, on most websites, you can do a no interest, interest-free 4-pays from Sezzle. There's several different companies: Sezzle, Zip, Klarna. A firm charges you some interest depending on your payment plan. And even then, I would use a firm. If you're going to get a generator off Amazon, and that's how I did mine. I paid some interest, but I would rather get it now and have it and pay some interest on it than not have it and wait and need it. So that's an option. If you're working but you don't have a ton of money left over, but you can, throughout the month save $60, $80, $100, you could seriously consider getting a generator and just getting it on Amazon. They deliver it right to your front door, and you have yourself a generator. You make monthly payments on it for 6 to 12 months or longer if need be, and you have yourself a generator. It's a huge, huge accomplishment to have a generator. Back to the pistols, though. The same thing can be said with pistols. There's certain websites, a lot of websites now have a payment plan where there's no interest, almost no reason to do it unless you just have, a fluid stack of cash, and it's not a worry or so much a worry for you, but you have an income. Sezzle is a beautiful thing if you don't take advantage of it and have too many out. If you only have one thing out that you have to pay on every 2 weeks, that $500 purchase of that Glock 19 Gen 3, that's $500. You can break that up into 4 payments. So, instead of coughing up $500, you cough up $125 the day that you pay. Then 2 weeks later, you pay another $125, and then so on. So it makes that a lot easier to deal with. Highly recommend doing that if you do not have a capable, double stack 9mm pistol. I'm not talking about your wheel gun. I'm not talking about your little 22 pistol. I'm not talking about an old ass, single stack pistol. Get a double stacked fire striker 9mm pistol. And good ones can be had for between $300 and $500 right now. And if you can find a good Taurus, a Canic, a Glock for under $500 and do a 4-pay, there's no reason not to do it. The same thing can be said for your rifle. You're going to need a rifle. You're going to want a rifle in the off chance that things do start to happen in country here. You're going to want a rifle. You're going to want a pistol, something that you can keep with you by your side, very concealable, very easy to take with you, but you're going to want a rifle to protect yourself. This is all very well-known options. A rifle gives you a lot more capability than anything else there is. It evens the playing field with guys who are using semi-auto or fully auto machine guns. Guys who are running AKs or ARs, it levels the playing field. You need an AR-15 in at least a 5.56 caliber or, 223 or 5.56. You got to have it. Just in case you're not going to defeat even two guys that have two pistols that break into your house or that come into your house looking to do you harm. You probably will not defeat them with a pistol unless you are just lucky and extremely talented. Even then, I think you would have a tough time. Now with a rifle, it changes the game. If multiple intruders come in, a rifle is going to be needed. You will not make it with a pistol. You have to have a rifle. With all that being said, before we go too much longer and go too much further, back to the government and our news media and being transparent. They've never been transparent with us, at least not as long as I can remember. They wouldn't tell us if we were in a war or a world war. There wouldn't be a big, broadcast of us being in a war. It's something that they would hide until there's no other option. And they will release tidbits like they have. We have soldiers moving here. We're moving these weapons and this ammo here. We're sending supplies there. We're moving this ship and sub here, this fleet there. I think we are in a war, whether you want to call it World War III or a war or whatever. I think we're going to look back on October of 2023 and wish we knew what was coming. I hope that I am completely wrong about all of this, but just everything that it's almost set up too perfectly. Russia with Ukraine. The Middle East is now, it's going to be all arms open now with Israel facing off against Hamas. America's moving in. China is moving in and around. One more step is China steps in somewhere, whether it's into Taiwan or whether they back somebody else, Russia, or go against someone. It's almost set up too perfectly to not be a World War III. If World War III never happens from all of this, that's great, but I don't think that is the case, sadly. And what does that mean? I don't know. But what it shouldn't do is And that's partially why the government, the media wouldn't tell the nation that we are in a war, as it would cause pandemonium and panic across the country. Whether we are or we aren't right now, I think the chances that we are in a world war, if we aren't right now, soon I think we will be. So the best thing to do is to continue doing what you can, stocking food, stocking water, security measures. Make sure doing as much as you possibly can. Change all the screws, in your doors. Make your doors stronger. Refine some skills. Get certain gear out that you've never used or haven't used in a while, and get, back in tune with those items. If there's items you haven't used yet, start, perfect your craft with those certain items. Dry fire practice. Get out and make sure your rifles are sighted in, your pistols are sighted in. I'm not saying go out and shoot hundreds of rounds. Go out and make sure, you still remember what it's like to pull the trigger. Make sure your stuff is sighted in. Work on trying to have something that can produce power or harness power. Little portable power stations are great. Generators are great. Those big solar style generators, basically a massive power station, those are great. Continue stocking up, continue gearing up, continue perfecting what you're doing. Don't let what is out of your control dissuade you from moving forward. Take advantage and use what you are given right now. If you need that generator, go get it if at all possible. If you need that rifle, go get it. That pistol, start rounding off the things that are the most important, and we covered them all here today. Food, water, filtration for your water, security in all ways, rifle, pistol. Make sure you have motion sensor lights, ways to deter people from coming on your property or to signal you that they are on your property. Power, harnessing power, producing power, and then medical. Make sure your medical is taken care of. Over-the-counter meds, Band-Aids, gauze pads, tourniquets, all of that sort of thing. Make sure you have an abundance of that stuff. If China goes into war against anyone or us, a lot of our medical supplies come from there. Tylenol, aspirin, your stomach medicines, a lot of medicine, antibiotics, all kinds of things come from over there. Of course, prescription medicines will not be as easy to obtain, but the more over-the-counter medications that you can have, the better off you're going to be. Those minor things that could turn into bigger things can be taken care of a majority of the time with over-counter medications. You can treat that cut with some triple antibiotic and some bandages so it doesn't go into you needing a antibiotic because you have an infection. So that sort of thing. Getting ahead of the curve and rounding off what you have is going to make or break you from now until we find out what's going on. Keep your vehicles full of gas. Try to store a couple extra gallons of gas, even if it's 2 or 3 gallons extra. Try to keep it stored. If you can do more, store it. Try to have some propane tanks stored up as well. They're the easiest thing to store, probably the safest thing to store, and you don't need to treat them. I like propane. I prefer the propane. But having some gas, 5-10 gallons on hand is not a bad idea at all either. So start rounding off the things that you need, because whoever watches this, I don't want you to look back, on this day, on this month, and wish you would have done more. So with that being said, that'll be it, guys, and I will see you on the next one.